Can we have the chairman, College of Dean, please wave to us. Please, can we appreciate him? Thank you very much. That is Dr. Wana Udoite. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Information College, I understand that the Permanent Secretary, Deputy Governor's office is no other than Dr. Mrs. Grace Jimmy. Please, can we appreciate her presence here? We also have the Chief Protocol, Deputy Governor's office in the person of Dr. Victor Akwa. Please, can we have Dr. Francis Akwa? Thank you very much. Thank you. That is not how to clap. Please, if you want to clap, clap well. We are here for big business. Thank you very much. We recognize all the heads of department and heads of unit. Ladies and gentlemen, in an academic gathering like this, there is no way I will fail to recognize the #1 citizen of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnic, especially of this Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic himself, a bridge builder and a very wonderful man that is building structures and also building human capacity. I'm not talking about any other, but Honorable Comrade Eteyen Uko, the ASUP Chairman, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. Ladies and gentlemen, let me not commit a sacrilege by forgetting one of our very own when we talk about academics. I'm talking about a former Academic Staff Union Chairman. He's here in the person of Comrade I. Ibara. We cannot fail to recognize this veteran. Thank you very much. All other chairmen of unions, members of staff that are here, security operative, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, please encourage yourself for finding time to be here. We would not have come out here for nothing. I'm sure we are purpose-filled. And so our presence here is going to be garnished even now as we invite to talk to us and address us even in this conference, the host, Dean, School of Communication Arts, himself a community developer. I'm talking of no other but a scholar, a teacher, a researcher, and peace advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give it up to Dean School of Communication Arts in the person of Dr. Daniel Evans Eshet as he comes up here to address this gathering. Thank you very much.
Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, here ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, the Deputy Governor's Office, Director and members of management, the Chairman of this occasion, distinguished members of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Honorable Commissioners and Chairman of Local Government Council, distinguished panelists, deans of schools and directors, heads of departments and units, the Chairman of ASUP, present and past, invited guests, staff and students, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure and profound gratitude to God that I address you today as we gather for the School of Communication Arts 2024 Hybrid Conference, hosted within the prestigious confines of Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic's Library Conference Hall, from the 4th to the 6th of March. I extend my profound gratitude to Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of our state, Senator Akun Yaranyi, PhD, for making time to attend this conference. This shows her love for education and Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic in particular. This conference would not have been possible without our amiable rector, Dr. Moses Umobo, and his management team. Our rector has provided a conducive environment for academics to thrive, as evident in his expeditious approval of this conference. Within the period of his administration, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic has become the second best polytechnic in Nigeria. The milestone This milestone marks a significant achievement for our school, underscoring our commitment to academic excellence and innovation. This accomplishment is also a testament to our collective dedication to providing quality education and preparing our students for the challenges of the future. It is of paramount importance to note that this conference is predicated on the mandate given to this polytechnic by the law establishing it, which states, among other functions, in Cap 7, Section 3, the functions of the polytechnic are to A, provide courses of instruction, training, and research in the field of applied sciences, technology, commerce, business management, and other fields of learning, having regard at all times to the manpower needs of the state in particular and the federation in general. B, organize conferences, seminars, studies, and other activities relating to the field of learning specified in paragraph A of this section. Upon this premise, the necessity of organizing this conference arose in order for us in the School of Communication Art and the Polytechnic to contribute to the developmental effort of the state government. The theme of this conference, Synergy for Progress, Communication and Media Strategies for a Rise and Sustainable Development in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria, resonates deeply with our mission to nurture and advance the field of communication and development. It provides a unique platform for scholars, practitioners, and students to engage in meaningful discourse, share insights, and explore innovative approaches to communication in the digital age. As we convene here, let us seize this opportunity to reflect on the strides we have made and the challenges that lie ahead. Let us renew our commitment to collaboration, knowledge exchange, and continuous improvement in our pursuit of academic excellence. I welcome our special guests, director and management of these great institutions, our panelists, invited guests, and all participants. I call upon all stakeholders, including the state governments, the academia, industry partners, and our dedicated staff to join hands in fostering a conducive environment for learning and research. Together, we can empower our students to become more effective communicators, critical thinkers, and responsible global citizens. May I my sincere gratitude goes to the planning committee and all who have contributed to the success of this conference. Let us harness the energy and enthusiasm generated here to propel Akwa Ibom State, the Polytechnic, and the field of communication to new heights of excellence. Once again, I welcome you. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, the host of this great conference. You would agree with me that he came out here and did justice to his duty. And so I'm not sure that applause is good enough. And if you are here, please let us do it better for the host of this great conference. Thank you very much. And so it is time to invite the chief host to please come forward and address this conference and open the conference for us. I'm talking of no other but the rector, a round peg rector of Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. Thank you very much. Welcome, sir.
Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, herein ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Deputy Governor's Office, Dr. Mrs. Grace Jimmy. Chairman of the occasion, Chairman of local government areas herein represented, Honorable Special Assistant to His Excellency on rebranding, Mr. Raphael Edem, members of the Polytechnic Management, distinguished panelists, deans of schools and directors of centers, heads of departments and units, invited guests, staff and students, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am deeply honored to stand before you today for the School of Communication Arts 2024 Hybrid Conference held at the Polytechnic Library Conference Hall from the 4th to the 6th day of March 2024. The Polytechnic community is happy and feels highly honored to have the esteemed presence of the Deputy Governor of our dear state in a representative capacity, Her Excellency Senator Akun Eyarayi, PhD, at this conference. Having served as the Chairman of the Governing Council of this great institution, during whose tenure tremendous milestones were recorded, we are privileged to witness your homecoming. Mamedio. We are proud to be identified with the ascension to the exalted position of the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State. It is noteworthy that our dear Governor, Pastor Mo Eno, has demonstrated strong passion for education as a major pillar of the Arise agenda by appointing an astute educationist in the person of our former council chairman as his deputy. It is quite clear, therefore, that His Excellency the Governor envisions the best of sustainable development for Akwa Ibom State. As an institution, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic is set to contribute to the success of the Arise agenda of our governor. To this aim, we have established the Arise Entrepreneurial Center, which has already taken off with a woodcraft center specialize in woodwork, while plans are underway to establish electrical and electronics maintenance, metal fabrication, fashion designing facilities, etc. Honestly, in the next 2 weeks, the press will have a very good view of what we are doing. We don't want them to come when we are done with the present exercise. We want them to come, see what we are doing, how we do it, and we can even label it made in Akwa Poly. We sincerely desire more synergy between this institution and the state government in working towards the realization of this project, which is aligned with the developmental goals of our state. I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the School of Communication Arts under the leadership of Dr. Daniel Evans Eshed for this milestone, which underscores our commitment to academic excellence and innovation. As we convene here, it is imperative to commend the invaluable contributions of the Akwa Ibom State Government towards the growth and development of Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. The government's unwavering support has been instrumental in securing accreditation for various academic programs, ensuring that our institution maintains high standards of quality education. It is indeed a testament to these efforts that the Polytechnic is ranked as the second best polytechnic in Nigeria by International Metrics Center. I think we deserve a better applause. This conference serves as a platform to deliberate on pressing issues within the field of communication and development, fostering intellectual discourse and knowledge exchange. It is an opportunity for us to explore innovative approaches, exchange best practices, and address emerging challenges in the ever-evolving landscape of communication. May I express my gratitude to all participants and organizers for their commitment to making this conference a resounding success. Let us seize this opportunity to learn, collaborate, and inspire one another as we strive for excellence. Thank you, and God bless.
Not enough, please. Keep clapping till he resumes his seat. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you would agree with me that for Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic to be the second best in a big country as Nigeria, it wasn't on a platter of gold. It was by dint of hard work and dedication that we have climbed to this height. And of course, this dint of hard work is spearheaded by a man who is pioneering excellence in this polytechnic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking of no other than the rector of the Polytechnic, Dr. Moses Umobo. Thank you very much for doing wonderfully well, even in the Polytechnic. Now we are going to listen to a speech by the special guest of honor. And before then, ladies and gentlemen, we would please call on the rector to declare the conference open.
Chairman of the occasion.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, thank you very much for being there. Thank you very much. We are now going to listen to the chairman of the occasion. Fortunately, is one of us, our very own, and so we know him, we know his strides, and we know how far he has come in contributing to making the Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic worthy of being mentioned in the committee of Polytechnic. Ladies and gentlemen, he's so ready for us even in this occasion. I'm talking of no other but a developer by excellence, a hard worker, and a mentor. Ladies and gentlemen, Deputy Rector, Akwa Poly, Dr. Lionel Ukoka, a gentleman of no mean repute. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State here, represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Deputy Governor's Office, Dr. Mrs. Grace Jim, Chairman of Local Government Councils here represented, the Rector, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, members of the Polytechnic Management, Deans of Schools and Directors, heads of departments and units, invited guests, staff and students, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to the 2024 Hybrid Communication and Media Conference with the theme, Synergy for Progress. Communication and media strategies for a rise and sustainable development in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria. I'm thrilled to have all of you gathered here today, whether in person or virtually, to discuss crucial topics that will undoubtedly shape the future of our state and country. This conference provides us with a platform to exchange ideas, share knowledge, and collaborate on strategies that will bring about positive changes and development through effective communication and media practices. This gathering, like the archetypal marketplace, has brought together experts, scholars, and practitioners from various fields to discuss the role of the media and mass communication in shaping the future of our society. I am certain that you will explore the latest trends, challenges, and opportunities in media and mass communication with a focus on strengthening interconnectedness and cultural cohesion through shared communication across generations, communities, and identities. I'm happy that the Dean School of Communication Arts, Dr. Evanze Shed, is spearheading this conference. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say that this conference offers a unique opportunity to engage in thought-provoking conversations, learn from the best in the field, and connect with like-minded individuals who share similar passion and aspiration for sustainable development. It is in view of the above that I urge you all to engage actively in the discussions and presentations that lie ahead while harnessing the power of communication and media for the betterment of our society. Finally, I strongly believe that we can work together to create a more inclusive and sustainable future through the power of communication and media. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are welcome to the 2024 Hybrid Communication and Media Conference. I wish you a very successful conference and fruitful deliberations. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. You understand that is the Deputy Rector of Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, and in this gathering, he's the chairman on the occasion. Are you sure you did well for him? Please, can we applaud our very own? Thank you very much. We are gradually getting to the peak of this very conference, and I'm sure we are happy to be here, especially when we happen to welcome and have in our presence Her Excellency the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Okay, and we have a whole long list and well-packaged things for you definitely in this gathering. And so we are waiting for when we will climax, and then we will give you the best. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going straight to the goodwill messages. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we want to invite our very own, one of the golden voices of this era, and one that we know so much. He's in the panel, and even one that is very familiar with the Arise agenda of the present administration of Akwa Ibom State. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking of no other to come do us the goodwill message first, but our very own Raphael Edem. Mr. Raphael Edem is a senior special assistant to the governor of Akwa Ibom State on brand management and marketing. Please, can we appreciate and give it up to this man that is a voice.
Thank you very much, my brother. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, represented here by the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Deputy Governor, the Chief Host at this event, the very amiable Rector of the Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. Let me acknowledge all of the members of the management and staff of the Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. My dear colleagues and panelists, I wanted to sit there. My letter said I should be a panelist, but the rector directed me to come and sit here. And when the chief host gives a directive, it is in your best interest that you actually obey. Special invited guests, students of the School of Communication Arts, very special invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to stand here to present this message of goodwill on this auspicious occasion of this communications conference. Let me start by acknowledging and I'm applauding the rector for keying into the Arise agenda of the Akwa Ibom State government. We've heard from the rector that this institution already has an Arise Entrepreneurial Center which is underway. I think it is the very first institution that we know that have keyed into the Arise agenda of His Excellency the Governor. And we must thank you, sir. I happen to, by the privilege of His Excellency the Governor, by the grace of God, head the department that is in charge of brand management and marketing of Akwa Ibom State. That office doubles as the warehouse of the Arise agenda. And we love to partner with, we love to identify with, we love to work with organizations that will pass on the very passionate message and desire of His Excellency the Governor, Pastor Mweno, to develop Akwa Ibom State in a hurry, especially at a time like this where I think most of the people here will agree with me, happens to be one of the most, if not the most difficult of socioeconomic and political circumstances that this country has witnessed in the past maybe 30 to 40 years. His Excellency the Governor came into the office with a very clear blueprint. He came into the office with a very clear mandate. He came into office with a very clear idea of what he wanted to do, and which was to develop Akwa Ibom State, to see how we can work to identify the areas of comparative advantage that we have, and how much of this we can develop so that we can end up developing the people, knowing very well that government is about service to the people. And the state will not exist if the people were not there, because it's actually the people that make up the state. Which is why when I got the invitation to come and be part of this conference, especially as he was speaking about communication and the Arise agenda, of course we're very excited to be part of this. The theme, Synergy for Progress, Communication and Media Strategies for Arise and Sustainable Development in Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, is also very appropriate. Appropriate in the sense that the Arise agenda is a people-centric agenda. It is about the people. The core letters, the A, agriculture, the R, rural development, the I, infrastructure development and consolidation, the S, security management, the E, educational advancement, are all about the over 7 million people that call Akwa Ibom State home. Because this is something that His Excellency the Governor, like I said, is very passionate about. So since it is about the people, it is important that the agenda, the work that government is doing is communicated properly. Not just communicated from government to the people, but that there is also feedback from the people to the government as to how this agenda is impacting on their lives, what are the areas that government can do better, what are the areas that people can key in so that they can improve their circumstances and their life, and ultimately improve the workings of the people of this state. So I think that this is an idea that has come at a very good time, and we're happy to identify with this. As an office under the direction of His Excellency the Governor, we will keep on partnering with organizations, with institutions, with even individuals who want to key into, who want to identify with, who want to contribute to what the Arise agenda actually entails. So let me thank the department or the School of Communication Arts of the Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. Thank profusely also the rector for this invitation. Thank the students also, whom I am sure at the end of this event, they will leave here with a better understanding and a better appreciation of what the government is doing to ensure that by the time they leave this polytechnic, they will leave this polytechnic as people who will be better positioned to contribute not just to the development of society, but primarily also to their own individual development. A polytechnic is a place where there is a fusion of what is taught in classroom and what is taught in practice. It is a place for applied learning. And so we're hoping that graduates and graduates of this organization will also become those who will be purveyors of the Arise agenda of the government of Akwa Ibom State. Not just in word, but in deed. So I will urge each and every one of us to leave here with a renewed passion, with a renewed vigor, with a renewed interest in what government is doing, and more importantly, in what we also can do to ensure that working with government will improve our personal circumstances. So thank you very much for the invitation. I look forward to a very engaging event. I look forward to an event that will be rewarding for all of the people here, even as we collectively look forward to a time and a season in not too long a time where we'll be living in a state and in a country that will definitely have much better contributions to our lives than the one that we currently live in. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Can we make it better than that, please? That is the voice of the Arise agenda. On that note, Your Excellency, all other protocols duly taken care of. Let me invite the representative of the chairman, Isienodem local government, to please present his goodwill message.
Good morning, all. With due respect to the Rector, Excellency, all members of the governing board of the Polytechnic, all participants, I want to say I'm here to represent the chairman of Isienodem, who is unavoidably absent because he has a meeting in Abuja. He asked me to represent him. And as our people used to say, I will not say much than to encourage and support the Dean, School of Communication Arts, so that they will be able to communicate and train the students well. And at the end of their studies, they will have good knowledge and something to take home. So my people, the chairman asked me to make a support donation of the sum of 250,000 naira.
Thank you very much. Can we make it better than that, please? On that note, Your Excellency, let me invite the host chairman, here represented, to please address us. Chairman, Ikot local government area.
Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, herein represented by the Permanent Secretary in that office. Let me also recognize the Rector of this great institution and the Chairman of the conference. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me rest on already established protocols for want of time. I am Elder Edwin Ekman, as already introduced, the Supervisor for Information and Culture, Ikot Local Government Council in the Transition Committee. My chairman would have loved to be here, if not for state functions. As I speak, he is in Abuja attending an all-important conference. And so he has mandated me to represent him in this conference. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my chairman holds this conference in a very high esteem. And like I said, he would have loved to be here. I am not just representing the chairman, but also an alumnus of this great institution. An alumnus, not just an alumnus, but one of the pioneer students of this institution in the Department of Mass Communication. And that was during the administration of Dr. Uye and Mr. Mbong as the registrar. Thank you very much. So I am in a very familiar terrain. It is my privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, my chairman has asked me not just to make a verbal goodwill message, but to place it on record by reading his goodwill message. And so please, you give me your listening ears in a very short time. I consider it a rare privilege and honor to be invited as the guest in this year's conference, TAC 2024 Hybrid Communication and Media Conference. The theme for the conference, which is Synergy for Progress, communication and media strategies for Arise and sustainable development in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria is indeed very significant. Significant in the sense that it aligns with the words of James Cash Penney, who said, growth is never by mere chance. It is the result of forces working together, unquote. Synergy for progress is optimized when efforts are combined, and such efforts, when combined in the right direction, produce positive results. No one day undermines the import of communication and by extension the media, most especially in this present technological age, as often put in the media parlance, communicate or you perish. In whatever angle one may look at the media and its necessity, it is a necessary tool for development as it permeates the fabrics of all sectors of the economy. When it appears the economy of this country has defied the knowledge of economic managers, the media stands tall in strengthening ways and means of fashioning the way forward. The media, therefore, needs to properly strategize and re-strategize in line with the Arise agenda of this present administration. The I in the Arise, which represents infrastructure and maintenance stroke advancement, ICT development, is a pointer and a good trajectory of development and also a food for thought for this conference. We all can attest to the fact that the administration of His Excellency, Pastor Umoeno, is one administration that has given the media the free hand to operate and partner positively for sustainable development of the state. It was as a result of its media-friendly ambience that the 19th All Nigeria Editors Annual Conference, the largest assemblage of media practitioners, the stakeholders of the pen profession, under one roof, was held in the state. Any government that isolates the media is headed for doom. That is why Thomas Jefferson, one of the most outstanding founding fathers of the United States of America, aptly captured the role of the press in nation building and what an engaging press can do to shape and strengthen the then nascent republic. In his words, he opined that, were it left for me to decide whether we should have a government without media or media without a government, I should not hesitate for a moment to prefer the latter, unquote. Now is the time more than ever before for the media to put together its paraphernalia and fully synergize with the government for progress and sustainable development. One on the one hand, and on the other hand, it becomes a clarion call on the government to redouble its effort in partnering the media for it to explore innovative strategies that will accelerate the socio-economic development of the state and Nigeria at large. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish this conference a fruitful deliberations and hoped that at the end, the proceedings will be made available to government that will ultimately become a working document. Thank you for listening to me, and God bless.
Thank you, the chairman, Transition Committee, Ikot Local Government Area. Can we do it better than that, please? Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Director of the Polytechnic, please permit me to inform Mrs. Ime Etuk, HOD General Studies, Dr. Emmanuel Ewak, Head Psychometric, and Mr. Godwin Sam. Please take note of the proceedings for a communique at the end of the event.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we want to applaud the man from Ikot who has come out here to give us a goodwill message. This Polytechnic is situated in Ikot and a synonym, so he is one of the hosts. Let us do better for him. He has done justice to his goodwill message. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time that we have been waiting for. And so we are here at this point to call on our very own Her Excellency, our dear Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, herself a teacher, a mother, a politician, and a good and astute administrator, to please come forward and talk to us, even in this 2024 hybrid communication and media conference. And not just talk to us, to declare this conference open. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give it up to Senator Akon Eyaranyi, PhD, hereby represented by Permanent Secretary, Office of the Deputy Governor. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. The rector of this great institution, the chairman of the occasion, other distinguished guests here seated, please permit me to stand on the already established protocol. I want, before reading the remarks that Her Excellency sent, I want to recognize those that came with me. We have the Chief Protocol to Her Excellency, Dr. Francis Akwa, and the Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Omen Bassi. I am here representing a dutiful Deputy Governor who would have loved to be here, but because of the exigencies of the office, she's representing His Excellency, our amiable governor, in another event. And she said I should bring her written remarks to you people. You know, she has been at one time the chairman of the governing council of this great institution. And today, I am so happy to hear that this institution, rated by international welcome, is a number 2, right? Please clap for yourself. That's a big achievement. So I'm congratulating all of you for your contributions. We are proud of you. Thank you so much. I came here with a written remarks from Her Excellency, Senator Dr. Akon Eyaranyi, on the occasion of the 2024 Hybrid Communication and Media Conference organized by the School of Communication Arts, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, Ikot, Osurua. It is indeed a huge honor to address you as the special guest of honor at the 2024 Hybrid Communication and Media Conference on the theme, Synergy for Progress, Communication and Media Strategies for a RISE Agenda and Sustainable Development in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria. This is an intellectually stimulating and enlightening event which is capable of transforming mindsets and reinforcing the fragile synergy between policy makers and the fourth estate of the realm. I dare say that the theme was thoughtfully crafted because it seeks to spotlight contemporary subject matter, particularly the Arise agenda of the present administration. Vis-a-vis the much needed collaborative role of the media in bringing them to friction. Permit me to acknowledge the rector, Dr. Moses Umotong, and Umabong, sorry about that. Moses Umabong and the entire management of this great institution for working hard to consolidate on the culture of academic excellence and distinction for which this institution is known. As a former chairman of the governing council of this institution, I have witnessed firsthand the transformative power of effective and strategic communication in driving progress and sustainable development. Our tenure was marked by a commitment to innovation, collaboration, and student-centric policies that laid the foundation for a brighter future. Today, as we gather to deliberate on foregoing synergies for the successful implementation of the Arise agenda in Akwa Ibom State and sustainable development in Nigeria, I urge members of our enlightened and vibrant media community to see themselves as partners of the state government, ably led by our amiable governor, Pastor Omo Eno. In recognition of the indispensable role of effective communication to successful policy implementation, the governor has intentional in appointing tested media professionals and communication experts into the key positions in this administration. Working with the media community, we can constantly improve on robust strategies designed not only to communicate the vision of the Arise agenda, but also mobilize stakeholders, inspire action, and drive real change in the states. The media plays a crucial role in amplifying the voices of the people, holding leaders accountable, and fostering transparency and inclusivity in governance. To underscore the importance of the media at the inception of this government, critical stakeholders, including Nigerian Union of Journalists, were invited to participate in the first ESCO retreat of this administration to give them an insight into the economic blueprint of the government and receive their input therein. It was a productive engagement designed to make the media partners, not outsiders. We believe that unnecessary secretiveness easily breeds suspicion and results in misunderstanding between government and the media. This is why transparency is one of the watchwords of the administration of Pastor Omo Eno. By working hand in hand with the government, journalists, content creators, and communication professionals can co-create narratives that resonate with the aspiration of the people build trust in institutions, and catalyze progress. Let us harness the power of communication and media to bridge divides, foster understanding, and empower our communities. Together, we can realize the full potential of the ARISE agenda, accelerate sustainable development, and build a future where every citizen of Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria thrives. Both government and the media are in pursuit of the same objective, and that is the welfare of the people. It doesn't really matter that they are doing so using different platforms and distinct methods. It is only appropriate that both synergies, synergize for the accomplishment of this noble objective. I want to use this opportunity to thank you for inviting me to participate in this important event. Let's arise and build a better Akwa Ibom State for ourselves and for generations coming after us. I am adding this. I want to tell you that our governor is here to change the narrative of Akwa Ibom State. If we will support him and collaborate with all the agency and people, I am very sure we will all eat the fruits of this government. Thank you. God bless you. I stand here not as myself, Mrs. Grace Jim, PhD, but as the Deputy Governor of this state, to declare this conference open in the name of God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
You can't stop clapping for the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Keep doing it better, ladies and gentlemen. And you understand this is her homecoming, and there is nowhere she would go back the same. At this point, there is a presentation from the School of Communication Arts, and through the rector to our dear mother and Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Please, can you keep clapping for this woman of substance? And even as we are, we're going to have a group photograph.
Before we do that, please. Please, before we go for the group photograph, on behalf of the Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, in particular the School of Communication Arts, I am proud to make this token presentation to Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Senator Akun Eyayi, PhD, a former council chairman, the chairman that successfully conducted accreditation and secured the accreditation of 32 programs. No mean joke. Soma, we are glad, we are happy. It is a token from your children to a loving mother. Please accept it. We present it to you in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Amen.
I will take it to my mother. Thank you so much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, ma. All right. Yes, please. We go for a group photograph.
Thank you. Sick. What else?
Events now. To present. Citation number. While waiting for the chairman, committee I did say this to you. While waiting for this.
I said the chairman committee of the Thank you very much. We appreciate the deputy rector, the deputy governor of our Akwa Ibom State, and every other person that is contributing to the build-up of this conference. At this point, we like to take more of the goodwill messages before we delve into the keynote address. Please, we want to call on the Dean of Deans to please come and give us a goodwill message, please. Do not go, sir. Please come back. Please, can we encourage him? Goodwill messages from the Dean of Deans, Dr. Onwana Odoete, always hearty and young. Please encourage this gentleman. Thank you very much, sir. I cannot allow you to go.
Well, members of the head table, dear colleagues, I am quite delighted to be here and to partake in this very important conference. I want to congratulate my colleague and friend for putting together this conference. And I want to wish the School of Communication Arts a very successful deliberation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate the College of Deans of Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, Ikot, Osurua. We want to take another goodwill message from a former deputy rector of Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. He's here in our midst. I'm talking of no other than Dr. Donald Igbe. Please, can we appreciate this great man? Thank you very much for always finding time to attend to things like this. Welcome, sir.
With due respect to the rector, the deputy rector, and other management members, team present, the dean of School of Communication Arts, the hard worker, I know him very well, our panelists, other deans, directors, heads of department, students, lecturers, members of the press. I am delighted to witness this first. When I say this first, it means it's like it has never happened. I've been privileged to be in this school for some time, and this is the first time the School of Communication Arts is organizing this kind of conference. And I'm very, very happy that this has happened. It shows the commitment, the dexterity of members of that school, led by Dr. Ivan Seshet. My message is, now that you have started, it shouldn't end. Let it be a continuous affair. After all, learning is not something for today alone. It's more importantly for the future. So on that note, I wish the School of Communication Arts very hearty deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I now call on the Director of Academic Planning, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, in the person of Mrs. Eduma Essien, to please come forward and give us a goodwill message. Please, can we appreciate this woman of excellence?
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. With all due respect to everyone on the high table, and I wish to stand on the already established protocol. I am delighted that we have more schools now organizing conferences in the institution. Why I am delighted is this. One of the criteria for the ranking of institutions, most important, is the scholarly publications and then the referencing of those scholarly publications. That is one of the very important things. So that means if our institution is ranked number 2, I want you to know that there are other institutions, big institutions, that have up to 100 programs. So that means it's not ranked by number of programs. It is ranked most especially by scholarly publications and the number of referencing to those scholarly publications. So that goes to say that from Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, we have so many outstanding scholars, brilliant scholars, that have published in both international and national journals, and others in other institutions are referencing their works. That is what it means. And On that, I want to say that this is another opportunity to also present a paper which will be worked on for publication in our journal or the journal that will come up from here. And the journal will also be taken to other institutions. And that will help us to sustain our position in webometrics. So I want to congratulate the school, the director, and the heads of departments, all the staff, and everybody that have made this conference a success. And I know that what will come out from here will help Akwa Ibom State and the nation at large, especially the way things are now. So I want to say very big congratulations. And congratulations to my colleagues that are here. I wish us a successful presentation and deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our dear Director of Academic Planning, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. We are moving forward and getting to the time when we have the presentation by the keynote. But before then, there is no how we would come here gathered like this in an academic exercise without calling on the Dean, School of Business and Management Studies, to please come forward and give us a goodwill message. I'm talking of no other, but my own father, in the person of Honorable J.J. Ikot, to please come forward and say a goodwill message to us. Please, can we applaud this man, longest serving senior officer of this Polytechnic. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. With due respect to the members of this head table, due respect to the staff and even the students here, permit me also to exist on that established protocol. Myself and my school is delighted to be enormously associated with the School of Communication Arts. The topic for this conference is very apt: synergy for progress and sustainable development. It means we have a lot in common. United, we will stand. Divided, we will collapse. So, on behalf of the entire school, we want to congratulate, in particular, my brother Dean, Dr. Evans Eshet, and all the staff and students of that school, by taking the bull by the horns, given the biting economic crunch in the society. For them to have taken this bold step, we are delighted and we are happy. And we once again congratulate them and wish them a very happy and a successful deliberations. Thank you and thank you.
Thank you very much. Gradually, we are going to the peak to listen to the keynote speaker. But we cannot go that further without inviting a conference guru in our midst. The Director, Research and Quality Assurance of this Polytechnic, I'm talking of no other, but our mother, Dr. Mrs. Mercy Umokaso, to please come forward and give us a goodwill message. Please, let us do well. We can do better than that, please. If you know her, do better than that. Thank you. Welcome.
Mr. Rector, and the chairman of this occasion and members of the high table, all our distinguished guests, our colleague lecturers and students. It's my pleasure to stand here to give a goodwill message in this very special program. Within the period while this program was being prepared, I received a questionnaire, asking for persons to say their views about how much media has affected or influenced or informed the people of the state about the Arise program. And I think that was the time I really realized the very importance of this conference, because I had seen the theme and I just knew that it was media that will help us, information, whether it's through the radio or whatever means of communication that will help us to understand what government is doing. So I really appreciate the Dean School of Dean School of Communication Arts, the heads of departments in the School of Communication Arts, and the staff and students for putting up this. I know we are going to be highly informed. I believe that at the end of this conference, all of us will be able to stand and understand better how to do our own bits in supporting government in the Arise program. And I want to say I appreciate all of us for being here. We know that we cannot really present papers in a conference like this without appropriate research. And I congratulate all the speakers, the keynote addresses, the panelists, and the persons presenting the lead papers for the successful researches that they have done to prepare themselves for this event. I say thank you very much for that. May God bless all of us and help us to get the best out of this conference in the name of Jesus Christ.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mrs. Mercy Umokaso, the woman with the quality assurance. Please let us appreciate her again. Thank you very much. We are now getting to feast on this part of the buffet in this academic refectory. Ladies and gentlemen, before we listen to the keynote presenter or speaker who happens to be the host of this conference, we want to take his citation. I'm talking of no other than Dr. Daniel Evans. And so we are listening to the citation of Dr. Daniel Evans Eshed, the keynote speaker on this conference. And that is going to be done by no other but please, nobody should go. All the students, please come back to your seats. If you are going, just know that you were not here. So please come back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Distinguished guests, esteemed participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure and privilege to present the citation of Dr. Daniel Evans Eshed. Dr. Daniel Evans Eshed hails from Inen, Ikot, Esien, in Osurua local government area of Akwa Ibom State. He was born on the 12th day of September 1966. He attended Methodist Primary School, Ibom Road, Ikot in Ikot Pene local government area, where he obtained his first school leaving certificate in 1979. Thereafter, he proceeded to Holy Family College, Akwa in Abak, and got his general certificate of education O-level in 1985. In 1992, Dr. Eshed obtained his bachelor's degree in mass communication of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Between 1992 and 2004, he worked as a reporter at This Day newspaper, Lagos, public relations officer at Alpha Blessed Motors, Lagos, and the Pioneer newspaper, Uyo, where he worked as a reporter and rural correspondent. He joined the employ of Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, Ikot, Osurua, 2005. He later attended the University of Uyo, where he earned for himself a master's degree in mass communication with specialization in print journalism. I thought you would clap for him. To cap his academic laurels, he obtained his PhD in print journalism from the Ibom State University at Abakaliki in 2021. Dr. Ikot is a chief lecturer in the Department of Mass Communication and presently the Dean, School of Communication Arts, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, Ikot, Osurua. Dr. Ikot has published 3 textbooks, papers in reputable national and international journals. He is a member of the Nigerian Union of Journalists and a member of the African Council for Communication Educators, as well as a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, in whom the chairman is here to honor him. Please clap for our Dean. He has received many awards, honors, and commendations for service. He has presented keynote and lead papers in many conferences and seminars. He is the initiator of Daniel Evans Community Service Project, Community Reorientation and Educational Advancement Organization, and member Nigerian Red Cross Society. It is instructive to note that Dr. Ikot played a pioneering role in bringing the Red Cross Society to this Polytechnic. Please, a round of applause for him. He is also an international peace advocate, an ambassador for peace of the United Nations, POLAC. Dr. Daniel Evans Ikot is married to a very wonderful woman, Akun, and the marriage is blessed with offspring. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you this gentleman of valor, this servant of God, this communication expert, this philanthropist, and scholar par excellence. Help me welcome Dr. Evans Daniel Ikot as he presents the keynote address. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, the chairman of this conference, other members of the high table, my very distinguished panelists, and indeed all scholars here present. I am here to present the paper, the keynote paper, titled Synergy for Progress, Communication and Media Strategies for Arise and Sustainable Development in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria. So I just decided to take the topic as it is from the theme without having to amend or do some reconstruction, because this is the keynote. And being the keynote, it should be able to capture the essence of this conference. I may not want to bother us so much with so much talked about Arise, what it is, we all know. But let me just point out that communication is central to existence. Without communication, nothing works. And if you look at the Genesis account of the Tower of Babel, The only thing that put a stop to that development was communication. Dysfunction in communication put a stop to that project. And so with that, you see a situation where it seems as they were trying to concentrate on just one project, whereas God had several projects for them. God works through the instrumentality of communication to scatter them. But I know in this case, Arise is coming to put us in several perspectives, and we will grow and develop by the special grace of God. And so you see a situation where the mass media are interwoven into every facet of development. And you cannot talk about development in Nigeria or indeed any part of the world without the mass media. So there have been media and series of communication, and the mass media have been reporting Arise agenda and sustainable development initiatives. However, researches on communication and media strategies that can engender the success of these programs are limited. I'm not very sure that we have much that we can lay hands on in terms of research and in terms of documented strategies regarding Arise and sustainable development. And you see a situation where available studies are focused mostly on sustainable development. If you look for anything on sustainable development, you find them everywhere. But talk of Arise, we are just starting. And so, but we see that Arise is a facet of sustainable development. So the state is keen into what is done globally. So, given this scenario, there exists a gap in the study of communication and media strategies for Arise agenda and sustainable development goals in Akwa Ibom. And so to guide this study, just came up with 4 objectives. Objective 1 was to establish the perception of the ability of communication and media strategies to positively impact the success of development initiatives in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria. The second one, to determine the extent of awareness of Arise and other sustainable development initiatives in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria. The third objective, to determine the channels or platforms through which messages about Arise and sustainable development initiatives are encountered, and to find out public participation in Arise or other sustainable development initiatives in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria as a result of communication and media campaigns and conceptual clarifications, which I will just touch on them briefly and proceed. We talked about synergy, and then we talked about communication strategies, media strategies, Arise agenda, sustainable development, and then we look at the theoretical framework for this study. Now, synergy, we all know, is a combination of effort, for short. And if you look at the goal 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals, it is about partnership. And partnership means to strengthen the means of implementation and realization of development goals by working together. So you cannot achieve any development goal working alone. You cannot achieve any of these things without carrying people along and ensuring that people partner with the government and the government partners with the people. That's where we have the progress. And so progress means that we are moving on. Otherwise, we can be involved in activities that we are just gyrating and circulating just within a circle without any progress. So if we synergize, we expect to make progress. And then we talked about the communication strategies. When we talked about communication strategies, we are talking about the purpose, the message, the medium, and the people who are involved. And these are considered through time, especially since each activity undertaken will have an irreversible effect on the system. The message, what are you passing across? Communication involves even your ideas, your thoughts. You can communicate. And without communicating, nobody will understand what you are doing. So we need communication. And in communicating, you need strategies. And so when you need strategies, that is where we begin to talk about one of the platforms like the media. We use the media, and moving on to media, apart from the interpersonal communication, and then the face-to-face communication, you use the mass media. Getting to mass media, we talked about the strategies. What strategies will you apply to communicate effectively, to engage audiences? And we know this may include the traditional media such as television, radio, newspapers, as well as digital and social media platforms like websites, social networking sites, and mobile applications. Then the Arise agenda, as we have seen, A for agricultural revolution, R for rural development, I for infrastructural maintenance and advancement, A for security management, E for educational advancement. That is Arise. So Arise here is not like telling you to stand up. That Arise is an acronym derived from the pillars stated here, developmental pillars stated here. And so from there, you have the Arise. I know some people may be thinking that this is just another nomenclature or another word for Dakada. But I tell you, Dakada was a kind of attitudinal change project that incorporated development into it. Because by the time you change your attitude to Dakada, you can then embark on certain things that you felt were not very possible. And so after that we have Dakadat, it is now the time that we say Arise. And so this Arise is not just another version, but this one is built upon pillars of development. And then sustainable development. Sustainability here means when you do a particular thing and that thing does not cause destruction, that will not allow others to be part of it. But it's a kind of development that will allow others to continue to develop. It's a kind of live and let live approach. So you don't try to develop, and in the process of developing, you destroy everything within an environment and within persons and within cultures. So any development that is not sustainable is not a real development. Then talk about diffusion of innovation theory. See, this theory seeks to explain how, why, and at what rate new ideas and technology spread. And so we see a situation where you have come up with a new idea, but any new idea that you come up with, we need time. We pass through a process, and then we see that it has four main elements. The innovation itself, as we are coming with our Arise, that is the innovation. So that is the innovation itself. Then you apply communication channels, the social system, and then the time. That is what diffusion of innovation is talking about. I know those in the applied sciences will be considering what we mean by diffusion. Because for them, diffusion is an osmotic kind of process where chemicals will move from one level or from one area to the other. But we also have diffusion in communication. And then we have the other theory we called media ecology theory. Once again, the microbiologists, the scientists will also wonder whether we have ecology theory. We have the media ecology theory. Media ecology theory can be understood as the science of functioning of the media, the impact of media on human beings, dependencies between man and the new environment. The theory is about how the media represents the reality, how it evokes feelings and behaviors in us, as well as how the media reconstructs our life and survival. No, doing this work was not just by hunches. We had to develop or adopt a methodology. And I adopted the exploratory and research approach for this study, knowing that we are talking about arise. I cannot right now begin to work on a study that will want to measure the influence, measure the impact, measure changes that have been brought about by arise. So it is exploratory in the sense that there are certain indices, certain metrics that we want to see regarding this so that we make input on how to move forward. And then later on, we embark on full-blown studies that will see how far arise has gone. So I want to believe that in no distant future, we will come to that level where the SSA brand marketing will have to commission projects into assessing the levels. And indeed, the state government, I want to be sure, will be glad to see how that will go. But at this level, it's just an exploratory study. And so we limited it to the population to be those who have access and use smartphones for now. Because we were using a kind of sampling, it was an online survey. So I couldn't have done an online survey using the hard copy. So it had to be an online survey, and for you to participate in the online survey, it had to be those who had smartphones. And so we just put the sample size for now, being an exploratory study, at 175, and we looked at it, 165 responses were garnered, and we used that to analyze this work. Now to the presentation, the analysis, and the results. The very first research question was, what is the level of perception of the ability of communication and media strategies to positively impact the success of development initiative in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria? And you see, what we used here was the Question Pro. The Question Pro is an online survey app that can work very well. And from the responses we had, you see the tabulated, the pie chart as shown there. The pie chart shows that most respondents considered communication, that was about 71%, communication and media strategies in promoting sustainable development initiative like Arise in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria, extremely important. And 70 respondents representing 47% considered them very important. That you will see the pie chart and in the bar chart. And now we put a total of it at 91% respondent that we had, affirming the importance of communication and media strategies in communicating the Arise and Sustainable Development Initiative in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria. So from here, it was very, very important. There was an additional question to that that also helped to buttress this importance. That question precisely was, what extent do you agree with the statement, effective communication and media strategies can positively impact the success of sustainable development goals? So we see the pie chart and then we see the bar chart. And so as a corollary to the foregoing, the data shows a very high level of perception of the ability of communication and media strategies to impact positively on the success of ARISE and sustainable development goals generally. Now we move to research question 2. What is the extent of awareness of ARISE and other sustainable development initiatives in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria? Because if we continue to talk about ARISE, some of us may be aware, some of us may not be aware. But from this survey and from the descriptive statistics done here, the pie chart and the histogram, the extent of awareness of ARISE and other sustainable development initiatives among respondents in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria, it revealed that the majority of respondents demonstrate varying levels of awareness of this initiative, with the highest proportion falling under very aware. This indicates a significant level of awareness among ARISE the respondents regarding ARISE and other, they are aware. And furthermore, when we consider the cumulative percentages, it is evident that a substantial portion of respondents, totaling 79.76%, fell under categories moderately aware, very aware, and extremely aware. This suggests that a large majority of respondents have at least a moderate level of awareness of ARISE and other sustainable development initiatives in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria. Then to 3, which channels, platforms, are messages about ARISE and sustainable development initiative encountered? Then you look at the pie chart and it shows that the respondents encounter these messages through the media, social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This suggests that the social media plays a significant role in disseminating information about the ARISE and sustainable development initiative to the target audiences. Then, going further, the data reveal that the radio is another prominent channel with 25%. Then the television follows, albeit with lower proportions of 8%. This finding suggests that the traditional media channels, such as radio and television, continue to play a role in reaching audiences with information about the ARISE and others. Moreover, the data highlights the relative lower usage of print media, with newspaper and magazine accounting for only 6.16%. It's social media. And I want to believe that the managers of the ARISE have been leveraging on social media so much. But at the same time, from this survey, we know that there are others who encountered the messages through other traditional media forms, such as radio, television, and the rest of them. If you take note, I say traditional media, but I didn't mention the local traditional media, which is very, very different. We shall come to that when I get to the recommendations. So quickly, looking at research question 4, do members of the public participate in ARISE or other sustainable development initiative in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria as a result of communication and media campaigns? Some of them said they will participate. Some of them said no. So the analysis revealed that 26.49% of the respondents answered yes, indicating that they do participate in this initiative due to communication and media campaigns. Conversely, the majority of respondents, comprising 73.51%, answered no, indicating that they do not participate in this initiative as a result of communication and media campaigns. This kind of responses is giving us room for further study. We just have a lot to do here. So if not through media campaigns, what other means? What other ways? Now in summary, we have seen that the majority of respondents perceive communication and media strategies as extremely important or very important in promoting sustainable development initiatives like ARISE in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria, and that there is a high level of perception among respondents regarding the ability of communication and media strategies to positively impact the success of ARISE and sustainable development initiative in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria. Then social media emerges as the most prevalent channels or platform through which messages about ARISE and sustainable development initiative are encountered by respondents presently. And then while some respondents participate in ARISE or other sustainable development initiative as a result of communication and media campaigns, a majority do not engage in these activities due to such campaigns. In conclusion, the study underscores the importance of effectively communicating key messages about this initiative through diverse channels and platforms, with social media emerging as a primary channel for reaching audiences. However, while there is a strong perception of the positive impact of communication and media strategies, there is room for improvement in driving public perception in ARISE and sustainable development initiative. Now, recommendations. Have the recommendations in two parts. First, for communication strategies, and then for the media strategies. The first communication here, or recommendation here, under the communication strategies is utilize a multi-channel approach to communication that leverages both traditional media, example, radio, television, newspaper, and digital platforms, example, social media, website, mobile apps, to reach diverse audiences with messages about ARISE and sustainable development initiative. Tailor communication messages to resonate with the specific needs, interests, and priorities of different target audiences in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria. This could involve segmenting audiences based on demographic factors, example, the age, gender, education level, and crafting messages that address their unique perspectives and concerns. Engage with local community leaders, influencers, and stakeholders to amplify communication messages and foster grassroots support for ARISE and sustainable development initiative. This could involve partnering with community organizations, religious institutions, and youth groups to disseminate information and mobilize participation. Invest in capacity building and training for communication professionals and stakeholders involved in implementing communication strategies for ARISE and Sustainable Development Initiative. This could include workshops, seminars, and skill building sessions to enhance their abilities to create compelling content, engage with audiences, and then measure the impact of communication effort. I think this is right where we are seated now in this conference. It is one of the communication strategies. But what my recommendation is saying here is that we need more of this. And not just in very enlightened environments like this. We need to move into the rural communities, engage with them, and do this in a sustained manner, not a one-off thing. So, and then for the media strategies, develop engaging and visually appealing multimedia content, especially now that we have seen that so many agree that social media contributed so much to their knowledge of Arise. So, develop engaging and visually appealing multimedia content, example videos, infographics, animations that effectively communicate the key messages about Arise and Sustainable Development Initiative to diverse audiences in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria. I remember in those days, in the 70s, when I was still a very young person, we used to have these motorized films from the Ministry of Information moving to rural communities. They want to talk about agriculture. They come there showing the rural people what to do regarding agriculture. If I want to tell you how to embrace new techniques, there is that need for me to come, show you the new techniques, how others are applying it, and immediately so many people will join. They will accept. The innovation will move in. Right now, I hear about 6 months. How many of us know what is called 6 months? 6 months regarding the cassava stems. 6 months. Do you know 6 months? But I want to tell you, so many of us may not know 6 months. Take the 6 months, develop the content. Arise is to also give us the food to eat. Take the content, show the people what is 6 months within or in less than 1 year. Before the planting seasons are over, they will adopt 6 months. They will know how to cultivate, and we will have food in abundance. So it is not our just putting things on social media. We should create this content that are appealing and have it at the back of our minds that social media, to some extent, you need access to smartphones. So it's not for everybody. So let us move to the rural communities. And so the next one is that you cultivate partnerships with local media outlets, including radio stations, television channels, and newspapers to disseminate information about the Rise and Sustainable Development Initiative through news coverage, feature stories, and public service announcement. Leverage social media, quite all right, as we have said, and then monitor, analyze media coverage and audience engagement metrics to assess the effectiveness of media strategies in reaching target audiences and driving awareness, participation, and support for Arise and Sustainable Development goals. I think this is where we will have to partner more. We will have to work more because we have to monitor and evaluate so that when we talk with facts. We use data to communicate. And then the government will be able to gauge the acceptance level and then the level that the innovations penetrate to every sector of our community. Thank you, and God bless you for listening to me and spending your time.
Thank you very much. I hope you listen to the keynote speaker did justice to that presentation. And so if you were in this hall, you would do better than you did. So please, can we appreciate the keynote speaker? Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to hand over to the Secretary, Comrade Anekan James, to lead in the panel discussions. I'll bring the mic. Thank you. And so before then, I would like to approach the chairman that he would say a word or two on what has been done. Please, can we appreciate the chairman on this occasion, Dr. Lionel Ukoka. Please do it better for him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think I can sit and talk. You will allow me to sit and talk. Somebody is I will know. Well, let me use the position of the deputy rector and chairman of this occasion and overrule those that are saying that I should stand. I want to commend Dr. Ivan Zeshed on speaking on these communication and media strategies for rise of sustainable development in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria. If you have listened very well, I think at the end, most often we talk about the recommendation. What can we get from this paper? And one of the things that I have picked from there is that we should adopt a multi-system approach in terms of the strategies that we use in our communication. And I think we have an Arise man here who has been listening very attentively, and I think he will pass the message to His Excellency so that we can drive this Arise agenda to a reasonable conclusion. Thank you very much. God bless you in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the occasion and the dean that has just presented a keynote address. Before we continue, I may not know if the chairman will permit if we have one or two questions for the last presenter. Any question from the audience, please? Okay. The head of department, mass communication, sir.
Thank you very much. Having listened to the keynote presenter, actually being an academic environment, to me that research was more elitist. The SSA on brand management said about 7 million Akwa Ibomites are resident in the state. Now, statistics had it that 75% are rural based. I wish to ask, that aspect of indigenous communication was not represented in the data collection. I sincerely wish to ask, what happens to those leftovers? What will then also happen? What is the role of the traditional newsman, what we call the town crier, in our rural communities? The Arise agenda should be able to incorporate them in their programs. My keynote speaker, sir, how will you represent the rural dwellers in that kind of an elitist research?
Thank you very much. I think if I understand your question very well, it's about the representativeness in the study. Well, I did say during my presentation that this is just an exploratory and descriptive study. And that at this point, what we are doing is just to describe what is happening. And that this may not be representative enough for now at this stage. That was what I pointed out. And you see, the limitation starts right from the moment I said those who use smartphones. So by the time already you have limited participation in this research to those who use smartphones. And now, given the nature of our availability of data regarding population and the rest of them, we rely on estimates. Some can be statistically determined estimates or personally determined estimates. Now I'm talking about the total population of 7 million. The total population of 7 million comprises babies, day-olds, everybody. Literate and illiterate, phone users, non-phone users. So in this particular study, they were not represented because we limited it to those who had access to the social media. And if you look at it, in fact, I expected that you will also ask, how could 175 be representative enough? And that is why I said it is exploratory and descriptive. It's like carrying out a pilot study to give us more foundation, no basis, just to gather what we call baseline data that can help us to move further. Like I pointed out that this is just the beginning. We need more researches, more in-depth studies. So the question of, you see, when we do any study, we talk about limitations. Although, you know, at times when we talk about limitations, some of our students and some researchers will say lack of money, lack of this, lack of that. That is why in every study you are asked to state the limitation of that study. And so the limitation here is that we may not be able to generalize given the sample size, given the population, and given the nature of this study that we limited to smartphone users. Our RISE agenda is not just for smartphone users, but for the purpose of gauging what is going on right now. We had to rely on this. So for now, this is adequate. For now, this is proper. For now, this is relatively representative. Leaving it to when we shall do the more in-depth studies and analysis. Thank you.
Sorry, let me also chip in something here. I think we may also be making a wrong assumption of the number of people that use a smartphone in the rural areas. That should even be another area of research, because most people, even in the rural areas, are using smartphones, especially the young ones. Those young ones. Forget about our grandmothers and our grandfathers, but those in secondary schools, universities, polytechnic, and so on, that reside, most often they go back to the rural areas also. They use smartphones. And so, let's not just assume that those that use smartphones are resident only in the urban areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, panelists, participants, please, for want of time, we'll take all those questions, suggestions by tomorrow during our presentations and discussions. So please, bear with us. Thank you very much. Can we encourage the last speakers, please? Let me once again welcome all participants to this segment of this conference, the hybrid conference of the School of Communication Arts. You may recall recently, before the commencement of this regime, might be you can also recall during the campaigns of His Excellency Governor Umeno, he gave a print, and from that print we had the Arise agenda. And in an event to mark the commencement of this chapter in Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Pastor Umo unveiled the Arise agenda, a visionary plan aimed at propelling the transformation of the state. And here to discuss this agenda are gentlemen and ladies selected with proven integrity, with track records as far as this agenda is concerned. We have our Polytechnic librarian here, custodian of information. Can we encourage her, please? Seated on the left of the librarian is the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Media, Dr. Enejon. You're welcome, sir. And we are privileged to have Elder Manasseh Umoite, the Chairman, Nigeria Institute of Public Relations in Akwa Ibom State. Sir, you are welcome. And very close to me is the brand director, brand manager, brand marketer of the Arise agenda. I'm talking about no other person than a very senior special assistant to His Excellency Governor Moeno, Mr. Raphael Edem. You are welcome, sir. Can we encourage them, please? Thank you very much. Like I had mentioned earlier, Arise agenda. Some of us, we understand, but most of us, we do not know what Arise is all about. Let me start with the SA brand management of Arise. Please, sir, what is Arise and what is Arise all about?
Hello. Okay, thank you very much, the moderator of the panel discussion. And thank you very much, Commissioner. I want to start off by, why do I think that I like your microphone better? Thank you very much. Yes, this is a better microphone. I think you can even hear me better. I want to start off by thanking Dr. Daniel Eshetz for his very insightful presentation on the Arise agenda. I think it was a research well carried out within the parameters which he clearly defined at the beginning of his presentation, and which, of course, if you ask me also, he stuck to all through when he was dissecting, in his opinion, some of the contributions that we can make to the development or the advancement or the spread of the gospel of the Arise agenda. I will come to your question, but then I think even the lecturer, when he started, had said that he didn't see any need to go so much into the nitty-gritty of the agenda, knowing very well that it's supposed to be very well known. But however, since you've asked, the Arise agenda is the development plan, the development blueprint of His Excellency Pastor Moeno, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State. And it is both a development plan, a blueprint, and of course it is a call for action. And it is a two-in-one word. Arise, the A-R-I-S-E, an acronym. Of course, the lecturer has already taken us through that. A for agriculture, R for rural development, I for infrastructure maintenance and advancement, E for security management, S for security management rather, and then E for educational advancement. Now, these are just 5 core areas of 17 thematic areas that covers practically everything that have to do with the day-to-day lives of the people of Akwa Ibom State. And if you look at the fact that government exists for the purpose of the people, government exists for the welfare, for the well-being, for the development of the people, the Arise agenda is the vehicle through which the aspirations of the people of Akwa Ibom State are going to dovetail with the activities of the government of Akwa Ibom State for the benefit of the electorate, for the benefit of the people who on the 18th of March last year gave the mandate to His Excellency to lead us for another 4 years in the first instance, and of course by the satisfaction of the people and the grace of God, 8 years in the long run. So that is the synopsis. The Rights Agenda is the economic development blueprint. And so far, if you would please permit me, I do not know how much time I'm going to have or when next I'm going to have a chance to make an interjection. I would love to say that I loved the way that Dr. Eshet looked, the study that he has carried out on the Rights Agenda. He's looked at the areas where there can be synergy, areas where there can be collaboration. He's also elaborated a little bit more on areas where he thinks the communication of the agenda can also be impacted better. And at this point, I will, the chairman raised issues of statistics, which I think is very, very important. Despite the fact that there are people who, there's a quote that says, somebody once said that there are 3 types of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. However, when there are statistics that go through a verifiable process from an organization that has got some credibility, we have no choice but to actually accept it. According to the Nigerian Communications Reports of 2022, just about 2 years ago, the smartphone penetration in Nigeria as of 2022 was about 18 to 22%. It was a range because, of course, these are not things that you can perhaps say with some exactitude. So gives us an idea that maybe 20% of adult Nigerians have access to smartphones. And I should also buttress the fact raised by the chairman that even in the rural areas, and this is from personal experience, a good number of them may not call it smartphones. But more often than not, when you want to buy a phone for somebody, if you've been in a position before, even in the rural areas, I think the more popular name for it is Android. You just hear the person saying, yeah, Android. And because of the number of people who have become users, if that report in 2022 stated that about 20% of Nigerians, of course, are there in the smartphone penetration, including in the rural areas, if we do some kind of an extrapolation, maybe we can say that based on the same report by the NCC 2 years after, this is something that we can say maybe it may have gone up to about 25%. However, Dr. Eshet also talked about communication challenges and referred to multi-channel approach. And part of the channels of communication which we are even using at the level of government is radio. And according to the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, 85% of Nigerians have access to radio. So that in itself is even a much more powerful medium of communicating any kind of government policy. I am not sure. I think the lowest common multiple of even the poorest person who has a home is at least the fact that that person has a radio station, or rather has a radio set, and he can listen to the radio. So at the level of government, we are taking into cognizance some of the issues which he has raised, but so far, the channels of communication that we're using include the print media, include the electronic media. Of course, electronic media here, we're talking radio, we're talking television. That means that we possibly have so far made an attempt to reach maybe about 80% of an adult population of the state. Of course, there's also the other media channels that are being deployed. The social media is very, very big now. And I'm sure there are more people on Facebook than there are. Facebook has got more population than a lot of countries in Nigeria put together. That is just one social media. We're not talking about Twitter. We're not talking about Instagram. We're not talking about TikTok. We're not talking about Threads and a whole lot more which has come. So I take away mainly the multi-channel approach of communication which he referred to, and which I believe, of course, a good number of people in this state would have had access. You may not find a lot of people in Akwa Ibom who will be able to tell you what the acronym ARISE means. A lot of people may not necessarily be that attentive, but I can bet you that there are a lot of people who would have heard the word ARISE because of this current administration. So that means that some progress has been made in that direction, and we're going to see how we can communicate more. In my Good News message, I had talked about two-way communication, because there are two things that are involved. Government intends to do something for the people, but at the same time also, if you notice, before His Excellency the Governor even started, before he flagged off the Rights Agenda, he called for a maiden edition of something which is unprecedented in Nigerian political space, the Akwa Ibom Dialogue. Never before, I know, in the history of this state and in many other states that I know in this country, would we have found somebody, give me a minute, so I'll just round off, who called people to come, listen to his plan, and make inputs into the plan that he has, and eventually come out with a holistic document that encapsulates not just his work plan, but inputs from different experts in the different sectors that he wants to concentrate on. So I think that that is a good starting point, and going forward we can only improve in the way that we implement the agenda and also in the way that we communicate it to the benefit of the people.
Thank you very much, the moderator. I most sincerely thank Dr. Ivan Seshet, the Dean of the School of Communication, for finding me worthy to be a panelist in this conference. I also appreciate the SSA to the Governor of Bank Management, Mr. Rafedem, my senior colleague, and also correct an impression. I do not head the media unit of the state governor. It is headed by the Chief Press Secretary, and also on the state government angle is headed by the Commissioner for Information, Comrade Inimemebon. On the media aspect of the Arise agenda, we are quite aware that just like the keynote speaker had presented and had made recommendations about the usage of different communication channels like YouTube, traditional media, and the traditional media involving the print media and the broadcast, we are quite aware that His Excellency, in his vision to drive the media sector of the Arise agenda, had made an appointment of 50 media aides, which consist of the SSAs, SS, and personal assistants to the governor, and also to help us to drive this agenda. Each and every ward in Akwa Ibom State, there is a representative of a personal assistant in each of these wards. In the 329 wards in Akwa Ibom State, this is just part of the means to drive the message to the grassroots. And also, when we talk about the media aspect of this Arise agenda, for people who have radio sets in their homes, who have televisions, you see jingles running, you see sponsorship of advertorials. Also, if you watch channels TV, you watch other mass media, you also see us propagate the media aspect of the Arise agenda. All of these things are just to engage the Akwa Ibom people and also to tell them what His Excellency is doing. To add to what His Excellency on brand management has said, in His Excellency's speech during the Akwa Ibom dialogue, he had made mention of the Ibom-led, the Ibom Leadership Entrepreneurial Development. These are also facets of the Arise agenda where people, the Akwa Ibom people, are being trained on entrepreneurial development. So at the level of the grassroots also, we are trying to see how we can engage the town criers also to pass these messages to the rural dwellers in Akwa Ibom State, telling them what His Excellency is doing in implementing the Arise agenda of his administration. Well, we are having the SSA on brand management here, which that question should be channeled to him. But once he is done, I'll also add to what he will say.
Okay, I think it's very important. This local government area prides itself as a raffia city. And this is something which is very personal to me, even beyond, before I was appointed to manage the brands of Akwa Ibom State. Unfortunately, you would go around the Ikot of today. I happen to have attended secondary school here. I'm Federal Government College, Ikot, and I finished some 26 years ago. So I have some fair knowledge of what used to happen here. Sadly, a good number of the people who used to be involved in raffia craft in Ikot are getting very old, and the younger people seem to have lost complete interest in that craft. I, personally, have had somebody take me to a village called, I think, Ikot or somewhere, where we went to go and look for raffia souvenirs. We wanted to go to UNESCO event in Paris. UNESCO invited us to an event, and we wanted to carry original raffia products. It took us quite a whole lot to identify people in Ikot who are willing to or who are able to produce the kind of materials that we wanted. I'm not referring to something that somebody told me. I'm talking about personal experience. And unfortunately, raffia craft in the raffia city is becoming a dying art. His Excellency the Governor has talked about rural development. Has talked about the need for us to go back to the basics. Ikot was called raffia city because of raffia. I do not know if the people of the local government area, unfortunately the council information supervisor is no more here, if they intend to change the name. If you go to that junction where they sell raffia now, part of the things that we sell there and call raffia is synthetic material. It is not our local raffia. Almost everybody here knows what I am saying is the truth. But then, do we still have the materials in the village? Yes. Do we still have the palm trees that produce raffia? Yes. But do we have the people that can go bring down the leaves of those palm trees and process that raffia into the shoes that we wear, into the hats that we wear, into handbags that we give out as souvenirs, into value-added items? That is a question that you can say the answer is blowing in the wind. Your question was, what is government doing? Government is creating awareness. Government is creating an enabling environment. Government is encouraging people to go back to agriculture, to go back to the basics. The next question should be, what are we doing to key into what government is doing? Because the challenge usually is we look at what is government doing, what is government doing. I have now said what government is doing. The challenge now is for the owners of the craft to sit back and ask themselves, is this something that we want to die in our own time, in our own hands? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, the moderator. To add to what the SSA brand management has said, you know, when we talk about in terms of rural development, we are seeing His Excellency opening up rural roads just to be able to accommodate farm produce from different farmers in those rural areas so that they can have roads to bring in their farm produce to the city. And right now, we are having an Akwa Ibom bulk purchase agency that the bill has just been passed by the State House of Assembly in His Excellency's drive to make sure that all of these resources that we have are consumed by Akwa Ibom people. That agency has been established, and what the government intends to do is to subsidize food prices for Akwa Ibom people, where you can have a voucher where you use to go and get food at subsidized rate. So, what we also intend to do as a government, what His Excellency also intends to do, is that in the Ibom LED that we are talking about, the leadership and entrepreneurial development, this LED program is training entrepreneurs. If you have an idea, we had also had something like, there was, late last year, we had a seminar where people came with their different products to display. If you look at the governor on his cap, it is all a handmade cap. He tries as much as possible to encourage Akwa Ibom people, to encourage entrepreneurs from Akwa Ibom. If you are into any production of anything in Akwa Ibom State, you come up with this idea, you engage the office that is directly involved in the management of these processes, where your produce or your products can also be advertised.
Thank you very much. Can we encourage them, please?
I know I'm not one of the panelists, but by the position of chairman, I think I can chip in something. Now that the essay to the governor has said something concerning, you were talking about the raffia craft, and he said it's as if it is extinct now in Ikot. We now have the Arise Entrepreneurial Center, and we want him to push it to the government so that we can help. We can bring in these people from outside to train our students, because if they train our students will even be better in the craft than even the old people with the knowledge of education. You know, those people were not, most of them were not educated. But now, with the knowledge of education, and if we now bring them into the center now with the help of the government, I think we'll revive the raffia craft again. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you very. You know, when I gave my goodwill message, I had identified that, and I had said we're going to look for a way of partnering, and we're hoping that this is not something that is just going to earn us stock. That there will be, you know, I talked about the fact that the Polytechnic is a place where skills, hands-on skills, are imparted on people who live here with a competitive advantage of having skill sets. The raffia production process goes beyond manufacturing shoes inside the school. It begins with the people that will have to go into the bush and climb and bring down the raffia palms. The process of actually, you know, some of those things, I'm wondering if they are called in English language, but it's something I know all of it in the local language. The process of actually processing those leaves and then the stems and pulling out the part of it is called piassava and the other components and weaving them before we now have raffia. Before you can turn it into shoes in the entrepreneurial development center. So it's a whole value chain, but that value chain begins in the farm. So I'm hoping that it is something that we're not going to pay lip service to. The bulk of the raffia, 4 days ago, there's an international organization that came for a conference at Ibom, formerly Maiden. And one of them, who is a friend of mine, is Ghanaian, called me and ask a question: where can we buy mementos and take back to our country? They wanted indigenous mementos, not big things. Because usually if you go to a place, you go to a country, you want to bring back something which is indigenous to that particular country. And I told them that there was a craft center in the hotel lobby. They said they have checked and they didn't find anything that was really original. The bulk of the things that they saw in that place were things that are synthetic, not natural. So if we have to go back to that, it's not just raffia that is suffering it, sir. Sir, there are a lot of people who still drink palm wine. But we do not have palm wine tappers anymore. Is there demand? Yes. Is there supply? No. There are so very many other things that have been affected. I don't know how it is called in the English language, sir, but there's something in my language, Ekodu for you. The process of pruning the palm trees and making it refresh. I have a palm plantation, sir. I had to go and look for somebody in a village some 20 kilometers from where I live and pay an old man to come and do that thing for me, because in the entire village, there is nobody left to do it. And so that it do not look as if I'm talking about the Ikot only, sir. The name of the village where I come from is Ikot Itam, in the local government area. I wasn't there when they named it, but I assume that they named it because we produce a lot of Ikot. As I speak to you, sir, in my village today, there is no Ikot, there is no palm wine tapper.
Thank you so very much. Let me also join my co-panelists in commending Dr. Evans Eshed for the wonderful presentation and for also inviting me to be part of this conference. From the public relations perspective, I want to say that we need public relations to drive the Arise agenda. The good thing is that His Excellency the Governor is a pastor, and by the grace of God, I'm also a pastor designate. Public relations is a spiritual field beyond the professional thing. I will say what I mean. You see, let me read from the Bible. In the book of Hebrews chapter 13, I will read Hebrews 13 verse 16. I will read something. It says, but to do good and to communicate, forget not, for with such sacrifices, God is well pleased. That's the King James Version. That is, when you do good things, let people know the good things you've done. Even God is pleased with such. Now, the bottom line is you must do something good first. It is not propaganda. You've not done any positive thing and then you go to the media, start telling people about what you have not done and you claim you've done them. Now, where are we heading to? We must be conscious of the fact that public relation is a strategic communication process with the sole target of ensuring a mutual relationship between an organization or an individual and the publics. Now, in public relations, we talk about publics. What do we mean by publics? For instance, Akwa Ibom Polytechnic, Ikot, Osurua is an organization. It has its publics, both internal and external publics. The staff and the students of Akwa Ibom Polytechnic are the internal publics of the Polytechnic, but they also have external publics that they must also reach out to. And the external publics might be the Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education, it might be NBTE, it might be JAM, it might be parents and the alumni. So now, we're in running any government, the people, they are at the center of whatever you are doing. Whether a government likes it or not, every government is involved in public relations. Whether they are aware or not, whether they have planned such or not. But the truth is, if they have not planned their public relations activities, it means they are doing an unplanned PR. And the result will be unsuccessful because it wasn't planned. Now, public relations is about winning the trust and the goodwill of the people. So, my friend here did say that His Excellency the Governor has appointed over 50 media aides. Now, the question is, the governor has appointed over 50 media aides, but is yet to appoint even one aide on public relations. So there is a place of public relations in governance because beyond communication, public relation is strategic. We must win the goodwill and the trust of the people. If you say you want to do something for the masses and then they have a distrust on the government, they don't trust the government because perhaps they were deceived before, then there is a problem. The good thing you are having for them might not work out because you need to win the trust, the goodwill of the people. So that is where PR comes to play in this Arise agenda.
Thank you very much, the moderator. Let me first of all appreciate the organizers of this conference for giving me the opportunity to sit together with the brand manager, the marketer of Arise. When he was giving the goodwill message, he said something about feedback. So I want to start by giving him the feedback on development of libraries in Akwa Ibom State, specifically the public libraries in Akwa Ibom State, before I say a little about contributions of libraries. We've said there are over 7 million people in Akwa Ibom, spread across 31 local government areas, with only non-functional 5 public libraries in the state. We have a public library at Abak, we have at Uyo, we have at Etetinan, we have at Ikot. None of these libraries is functioning. The information resources we have there are all outdated. The infrastructure we have there, one of the keys of our rights is infrastructural development. The infrastructure we have there, they are outdated. We don't have enough librarians to take care of these libraries. A lot of us pass through the library avenue at Ikot. We noticed a few years back what was the state of that library. We appreciate the governor who has come to remodel the library. But I speak as a Polytechnic librarian and the chairman of Nigerian Library Association of Akwa Ibom State Chapter. After the remodeling of that library, we have seen Ikot Divisional Library is written on the new building. But at the gate, we have a signpost, need that. And after the remodeling, the gate is closed. So that is the feedback I'm giving to the Arise manager. I also want to give a feedback that the Ibom e-library, the foundation was laid in 2007. The library was commissioned in 2012. That library was abandoned soon after commissioning. But I'm happy our amiable governor has come to restructure and transform the library to Ibom-led digital library. But as I speak, none of us in Library Association in Akwa Ibom State is aware of what is happening in the library. You are talking about collaboration. I think we should have opportunity of collaborating with government on development of libraries. Now, Arise agenda has publications. Beyond the social media, this conference is hybrid, combining the physical with the virtual. So beyond the social media that we have, what and where do you deposit the resources you have printed? You may like to go with me to the section of this library that we have created for Akwa Ibom State publications. And I will tell you the last one that I have come to see was in 2017. We don't have anything in this library to show the students what Arise, as you have said. Many people hear of Arise. They don't know what the acronym means because they have not seen documents that say a lot about Arise. Government have a lot of publications, but where do you distribute these publications? Libraries don't have access to the publications. What happens when Arise agenda, when the marketer is no more there? It is the library that custodies information. It is the libraries that preserves for the future. So if the resources are not in the library, where will you preserve the information? If you leave the office today, the publications you have, the materials you have produced, all your policies may be living with you. But if they are deposited in the libraries, 20, 50 years after, many people will come to read and will still know what happened in the state years back. I'm not even talking about academic libraries, because academic libraries are managed by the institutions. But the public libraries, we've talked about channels getting closer to the rural areas. How close do you get to the rural areas? By the publications, by the information. You will agree with me, since we came to this hall, nobody has mentioned the library. In all the discussions that we have made today, nobody has ever mentioned the library. And that is how it seems the library is neglected. People don't see the need to work with librarians. People don't see the need to work with libraries. Now, most of the government publications are not there in the National Library. It is a law. The Legal Deposit Act of 1970 stipulate the number of copies of publications by individuals, by states, by federal government that should be in the National Library for posterity, for preservation. When we live, those that come after us, even while we are working, You don't know the people that come to look for information. And everything that is published in Akwa Ibom State should be in the National Library. We have a branch of the National Library here in the state. Talking about ISBN and ISSN. Most of the publications I have seen from the state do not have the ISBN, do not have the ISSN. I'm giving you the feedback. You can verify. So when they don't have this, they now stand to not comply by depositing some of these copies with the library. Now, please, as you go back, look at the diary. This year, 2024, which place is the library mentioned in the Arise agenda? Sometimes we look at the annual report, statistical report of state. Nothing is mentioned about library. And one wonders, are there no library services in the state? Please, let me give the role of libraries in the Arise agenda. We are the preservation agent. We preserve the resources. We preserve government policies. All the publications that government has, we preserve for future. Now, you agree with me that the survey by the keynote presenter was virtual, using the social media. And some of the information we have in our phones are fragile. You may work with them this evening. Tomorrow, you don't have them again. But if you were to be print materials, go back to the library. Anywhere, anytime, the materials will be there for you to use in your research, in your cultural, in your social role. So please, I am using this opportunity to call on the manager of Arise to please come to the aid of considering the development of libraries, especially development of public libraries in the state, so that this information will get closer to the rural area. Thank you.
No, there is no way I can respond in 1 second to a 15-minute presentation. However, I'll do my best to move very fast. First off, Madam, thank you very much for the feedback. A lot of that feedback is not directly, is not something that concerns my department directly. But of course, since government is one, we'll do the best we can to pass on the information to the relevant agencies of government. However, the documents that the Arise agenda, the entire work document of the Arise agenda is a bogus document. Contains, I know, under education, development of e-learning resources. I know that is part of what that ministry is doing. Because we have to tell ourselves the truth. And let me also very quickly say something about the e-library. I was the master of ceremonies when the e-library was commissioned. I was there and I went through. And at that time, I was much younger, over 10 years ago. But I was wondering what we were talking about an e-library and we were having a physical building. I really asked myself that question. Because if we were talking about an electronic library, what were we doing with a physical building? That was what my young 30-something-year-old mind was wondering at the time. But then I went in there and I saw a number of books and learning resources. And I later heard that there were plans to ensure that that place had one of the fastest internet capacity in this part of the world. It is then that announced that, okay, that is actually the plan. Because if we're referring to an e-library, I think what you need is very fast internet connection. The world is changing. I have a gadget in my house called the Amazon Kindle. It's as flat as this phone. It contains 6,000 books. No rat has eaten it. No rat can eat it. It cannot tear. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be lost. But I have on that one flat device 6,000 books. So I am carrying on that device more information than a lot of public libraries. We need to know that the world has moved beyond a number of things. That is not to say that libraries are not important. But we need to also understand that we're dealing with a generation that would rather have an e-copy of a book than read a physical copy of the book. We're dealing with a generation that would rather go and tell somebody, do me a photocopy and send to me on WhatsApp than go and buy the original textbook. We are all lecturers here, we know. And we need to know that there is a need for public libraries as a reservoir and a storage of information. Part of the resources that government has, the one that are within my control, I will do the best I can to ensure that copies of it are sent to the Polytechnic Library. I will do so. But the truth is this. A lot of information we used to go to the libraries for, we now go to Google for the same information. Faster, cheaper, more convenient, and not often than not much more information and resources. So we need to know where to draw a line between, do we want to be stuck in the past? Do we want to move with the future? How much digitalization can we bring into this education business? Thankfully, you even said that this conference is both physical and virtual, meaning that technology is being embraced even by this department. We are moving with the times. So maybe the Library Association of Nigeria, while advocating for the development and for the maintenance of public libraries, should also look at ways of seeing how we can move a little bit into 2024. You quoted the 1970 law, madam. I am not too sure that law is applicable 54 years after. We need to see how we can tweak it so that it is more workable and desirable for the current future. It is a major concern people usually have. Would you rather that we built a huge library and put 10,000 books in there and put security in there, books that people will come and borrow and will not return, rats will come and eat, and a number of physical issues? Or would you rather that government were to give the Federal Polytechnic, Ikot Osurua, fiber optic cable that can give you 150 MB speed of internet at the flash of light? Which would you prefer? These are questions that we really need to answer. However, the feedback has been taken. We will do the best that we can, and all in all, what we're looking for is a much better society for ourselves, a much more convenient society for ourselves. Thank you very much. Oh yes, I agree with you, and that was just a ceremonial event. Every single Akwa Ibom person, you know, there are a lot of material that we have on the print and electronic media which passes more information about what their rights agenda is all about. You know, giving information about what government is doing, what government is planning to do, how people can key into it, how people will benefit from it, how Akwa Ibom will be the better for it. And then there's also the call to action by the people, because, you know, if you notice, every single thing I say here, I talk about what government is doing, and I talk about the one we don't like to talk about, which is what people should also do. Now, the truth is, as it is, the Arise agenda, we want every single person who hears about it to be a propagator of the gospel of Arise agenda. The decoration event was just ceremonial. It was just a launch. Every single person who hears about the Arise agenda, there are jingles on radio, there are jingles on television, there's information going about on social media. Everyone who keys into the Arise agenda is an ambassador, is an advocate of the Arise agenda. So without the decoration and all of that was just ceremonial. There was no way we could have gone through the 368 wards in the states and all the markets and all the churches. But the information is getting to them through the different organizations they belong to, through the different media that they receive information from. So please, it's not an elitist thing whatsoever.
Thank you very much. Please, participants, do you have any contribution question? Somebody have any question?
There's a hand there. There's a hand there. Thank you very much. A lot of what you've said is way out of my streets, considering the fact that I have a focus and my office has a mandate. But since you're referring to government, and some of the issues are issues that are within my purview as somebody who has been in Akwa Ibom, living here all my life and working here, a few things I would want to respond to. First off, the ideology thing didn't even start with Obongata. It started with Obongata 7 in 1991 when he said that we should begin to put out the ATOC syndrome, and then before Obongata came with EARCOM and all of those issues. I think it points to something, that every administration has identified the need for a strategic mental adjustment. Because in this same Akwa Ibom state where I come from, and I hope you come from also, where we have complaints about so very many other things, we find people who come from outside here and not involved in politics, do not ask too many questions or query too many things, but then seem to have made an excellent life out of themselves. However, that's a different issue whatsoever. There's some feedback that I will take from you and we'll do our best to see how we can accommodate it. However, if you're talking rural development, 80% of the activities that Governor Moino has embarked on so far are rural development efforts. 2 weeks ago, we were in a Senudem local government area. A road that Clement Mel Ikpa wrote about. He said the road that swallows pregnant women. 13 kilometers, rural road connecting a village in Senudem with a village in Etimeko local government area that has hitherto been impassable. There's another one going on in Oron. There's one going on in Uyo. There's a street going on here. In Uyo, you may want to know that Uyo goes beyond Ibom Plaza. In Uyo local government areas, there are rural areas in Uyo. And there's a lot of development that is going on. Now, there is one project per local government area going on. The one project per local government area is an initiative of His Excellency Pastor Moino, where the people of the local government area are the ones that identify what project they want. So some have said they want a market in the rural area developed. Some have said they want a school. Some have said they want a health center. So the feedback is from the local area, and government now, responds to their need by working for them. Now, of course, in agriculture also, the integrated farm that His Excellency the Governor is doing, and they want to replicate in all of the local government areas in Akwa Ibom State, are all situated in the rural areas. The issue now is, like you talked about, are people going to concentrate on the ideology, or are they going to concentrate on the activities that is going on? Because if you were to ask me now, what are the activities that Governor Moino administration is doing in the area of their rice agenda, I will tell you agricultural programs that are going on in rural areas. I'll tell you rural development programs that are going on. I'll tell you efforts that have been made with security, with the introduction of community watch that's not been there before. Sorry, you said something? You're talking about housing. These are all plans. This government is 9 months old, sir. The government is 9 months old, and we're living in the most difficult economic circumstances of the past 30 years, sir. The cost of constructing 1 kilometer of road now has doubled. Because cement, all of the inputs are doubling. Lastly, you said that these things are done usually during elections. Well, I don't know, I may not be able to speak for the past because I didn't handle this role in the previous administrations. As a matter of fact, I've only ever worked for one government in my entire life before now. That was the immediate past government, but in a different role. The issue now is the elections held in March. The governor was sworn in May. This is March of 2024. We're talking about Arise agenda. We've been talking about it ever since then. In fact, the agenda was launched after the elections. So this is not about politics for us. This is about developing Akwa Ibom State. This is about what we can do. This is about understanding how we can connect the dots from the rural areas to the urban areas, from people who want to get a job, identifying those who want a need, identifying how that need can be provided. Akwa Ibom has got enough natural resources. We just need to be able to harness our human resources and key in with the natural resources and hope, of course, that the odds will favor us by the grace of God so that we can go forward. About the issue of naming the state and historical analysis, my brother, I don't want to look back so I don't become a pillar of salt. I'd rather look forward. Thank you.
necessity. That immunization and things like that, they come to that community. And it makes sense for you to see government come down and they start making these announcements with the public address system. So myself, I'm thinking, in attempts for us to have this synergy and progress, we should revisit some of those strategies that my brother has mentioned, that channels through which the audience and the listener are brought together. So the government may think of the presentability of those strategies of getting the people involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Synergy for progress. What is our principle? I think there should be community facing that so that the government should bring that up. And I want to also believe the committee is taking note of most of the issues raised. If Dr. Linda is not online, let me ask the area about the question that was supposed to be asked. Development communication. How can it be
Thank you so very much. Just like I was saying, public relations is about strategic communication. Government is existing for the good of the people. And then, what is it that the people need? And we are talking about a RISE agenda, and the greater focus is on rural development. And there, development communication comes to play. In strategic communication, it's not just about what you want to say, but it's about understanding your audience. Who are the people you want to communicate with? What message do they understand? What kind of media should you use so that this message should get to them at the grassroots? Just like the last contributor just said about when he was a counselor, where people come, government will come for immunization and then they will get to the wards. Today, government will get to your ward only when it is time for campaigns. But after the campaigns, they may not know their way to those villages any longer. No, but we are saying that in this circumstance, we need a multimedia approach so that you don't only rely on these traditional media, you must also consider other media. For instance, the town crier is needed. You need to get to the grassroots people, tell them what you have for them. I understand Dr. Linda is on. She's off again. Can I go ahead? So now, let's get to know. It's good enough that His Excellency is embracing what we call stakeholders engagement. It's not enough to say you want to do something that will help those people in the rural areas, and you've not bothered to find out from them what they need. You just assume this is what they need. His Excellency has gone down to ask the people, what do you need from your area? And they've said it. Now, that is good. It will foster development communication, because the communication here is intended to bring out development, and now is amplifying all those things that will help and aid development to come up. So now, getting the rural people involved. So it takes us to public relations. I was saying that because you need to gain the trust and the goodwill of the people. When those people don't get to understand what you want to do for them, the intent of government concerning them, certainly they will be suspicious. For instance, presently the government wants to organize a health medical outreach for people. I asked, and it's coming to Ikot between 11 and 16. I asked many people from my church, are you aware that government is coming to do? They are not aware, because perhaps government, you are using the social media, you are using maybe radio, TV, and but you've not gone down to the grassroots. Those are the people who need it, but most of them are not engaged. So I am advocating, I will join Dr. Ivan said that we must embrace multimedia approach, we must embrace strategic communication, we must embrace stakeholder engagement. Let the people have a feel of government the same way the government wants to have a feel of the people.
this panel discussion. Thank you very much. Let me invite Madam to just give us 1 minute summary of what she wants to say.
Thank you very much. I want to say that it does not really depend on the size of the library. All we want is ICT facilities with internet availability that will help members of the society to get to the library. Those that don't have access to data can use the one that is available in the library that is provided by government for their researches and studies. Thank you.
Well, I also want to add that based on what the NIPR chairman has said, from the 11th through the 16th of March, His Excellency has approved a medical outreach for the people of Ikot Senatorial District. And that medical outreach will take place at the Ikot General Hospital. So as Arise ambassadors, because all of us here, we are all ambassadors of the Arise agenda. So help us to propagate the messages to those in the rural areas to take opportunity, to take good opportunity and avail themselves at the General Hospital in Ikot. The last medical outreach I was organized in Uyo, the first day of that medical outreach, we had recorded over 91 surgeries for fibroid, for hernias, all level of surgeries were conducted. I think at the end of that medical outreach, we had recorded over 200 surgeries in that medical outreach. So we are coming to Ikot on the 11th through 16th, and thereafter we'll move to Ikot Senatorial District. Please help us to propagate the Arise agenda and the message of His Excellency. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me add to what my colleague, Dr. Ene, has said, that anybody who lives here and doesn't spread this information is one of the reasons why the information is not getting to the grassroots. That's one. And then let me also, my friend Manasseh said over 50 media aides have been appointed. Not one of them is an aide on public relations. The good number of those aides are members of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Even he knows that one. However, lastly, I must pay tribute to the Polytechnic Ikot Osurua, and of course, especially to this department and this school. This is the first academic institution, to my knowledge, that has put together an event of this nature to set the agenda and of course x-ray the Arise agenda of government. And I must add that this is one of the reasons why universities and polytechnics exist, where there can be this opportunity for an intercourse of ideas and people having to sit down and judge over government policies. It is for this reason that universities and polytechnics exist. And I must thank you very much for being a trendsetter, a pace-setter in this direction. We recognize the need for synergy, like you talked about, and we are always welcome. It is the reason why we are here. We practically spend the whole day here free of charge. This is a government that is committed to working with facts. Manasseh has spoken a lot about the distrust that exists sometimes between government media channels and the people. But this is a government that is committed to facts and fact-checking, where you can go and verify. You know, that is a phrase that has not that was popular last year, but it is information that we will always give. That is information that you can go and verify. It's a government that is also committed to openness. His Excellency is a rather very unconventional person. The other day at a synod of local government, you know, usually at the end of a flag off of the road, the governor goes into the earth moving equipment. I think it's a bulldozer, and he does a ceremonial flag off. When His Excellency went up there, the bulldozer operator was trying to talk to the governor, and security were trying to pull him down. The governor said, leave him. This is his one chance of telling something, saying something to the governor. The guy who was operating the machine. And he engaged the governor, whispered to him for over 3 minutes. I do not know what he told him, but I'm very sure that his life may probably have changed because of that opportunity. So it's a government that is very keen on openness. It's a government that is ready to work with people. And it's a government that understands that indices of development needs to be taken into consideration. Governor Moino is not imposing projects on the Akwa Ibom people. He is asking questions. What do you need, and how can we help you to meet what you need? So there is a two-way relationship. And there is feedback, of course, which is also given by government to government by the people who are the beneficiaries of this project. We thank you for the agenda setting. Why I'm speaking the most is that this is about something that concerns me. In fact, if not for the fact that this event was holding here, I think my department would have been chief host, because this is a brand and marketing event on the Rise agenda. But we must thank everyone here, and I must say this. You know, we have become so used to being suspicious of government and its antics, and possibly justifiably so over the years. But then, I think we should also not lose sight of the fact that this particular administration is a people-centric administration. The governor has lived and worked in Akwa Ibom for practically most of his adult life. He understands, he has worn the shoe, he knows where it pinches. He has opened himself up so that people can give him feedback. The governor has not changed his phone number. Maybe I shouldn't say so, but then he himself says so. So he still receives feedback from people that he has known long before he became governor. Meaning that he can have first-hand information about things that need to be done. We should talk to government. We should talk with government. We should make inputs. But more importantly, while we expect that government will do its best, we should also do our own bit in our spheres of influence. Because the state doesn't only belong to the government. Everybody at every level of government in Akwa Ibom State, complete with their family members, are not up to 1,000. But we have over 7 million people here. Meaning that we, the citizens and the followership, are in the majority, and we should make that majority count by contributing in our own little way to the development of our state, to the actualization of their rights agenda. When government is engaging in agricultural programs, see what you can learn from there and improve your own access or your own ability in the area of agriculture and food sufficiency. I'm sorry to say this, but it is a fact. A lot of the food that we eat in Akwa Ibom State comes from outside Akwa Ibom. And if there is one thing that the immediate past administration did very well, and this administration is continuing, it is showing us that those things that we thought could not grow in Akwa Ibom can actually grow and thrive in Akwa Ibom. But away from government showing us and doing all of the demonstration, how many of us have planted tomatoes, or rice, or cabbage, or lettuce, or yam? Please, why do we have to eat only Ebono Sanu? What happened to Ebono Kangen? We sit Taraba. Why do we have to depend on food mainly that comes from outside? Why does most of our gari come from outside Akwa Ibom State? Is there anybody here in their family who miss franga gari? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. So while government is doing its own bit, we should also do our own bit. Because you cannot wash your hand with only one hand. You can only wash your hands clean when both hands wash themselves. If we do our bits, and government is doing its bit, and we're holding government accountable, while also making ourselves responsible, I think the partnership of their rights agenda will work for all of us. And in the long run, we'll be the better for it. Thank you very much.
to listen to me and to hear. Let me say that at the point we made the director for this event. Thank you. At the point we made the director for this event, he didn't hesitate to allow us to host the event today. I said, Rector, thank you very much. The deputy rector, who is also the chairman of occasion, did not hesitate to accept what he wants to do for us. He's always with us. He's us. Thank you very much, sir. I want to thank the deputy governor of the state, a one-time chairman governing council, for accepting to be here. Of course, you know, it is absolutely very difficult to get most of those politicians to attend this kind of event because they have a lot of events to attend on a daily basis. But she accepted to be here despite her task to do. You say, Madam, thank you very much, doing absentia right away. The panelists, we are very pleased. Let me tell you this. Every time you meet Madam Librarian and the Arise guys, they just behave like scent leaf. If you just hit them in their areas, they will talk to an end that will not happen. They were not quarreling. It is because of their profession. In fact, I want to tell the dean, maybe very soon, we will have a debate of Arise and the library. These are persons who have buried themselves in what they believe in, and they know how to say it well. Of course, it is true that we have almost nothing in libraries. I've been to a lot of them. She doesn't mince words. She doesn't fear. She speaks it the way it is. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you for being here as a panelist. For Ene John, doctor, though out of here, I want to thank you for accepting to come. Then Manasseh Omoete, who is also the PR person of the Federal Polytechnic Ukana and the chairman of NIPR in the state, we appreciate your coming. Then the Arise guy in person, the SSA, on brand marketing. Like I said before, you don't need to touch that young man in this area. She's loaded. Thank you very much. And all these directors of schools, head of departments, lecturers and staff, students, of course, all conferees. We are very pleased that you are here. The media, don't forget you. Thank you so very much. Somebody says, it is always difficult to say goodbyes because the hellos are not said. Tomorrow is another day. Please meet us here. Thank you, brother, and God bless us.
Thank you very much, the chairman, local organizing committee. Please, all deans, directors, heads of departments, please, we will meet you at the newsroom of Department of Mass Communication. Please, newsroom, Department of Mass Communication. On that note, please, tomorrow we will gather here by 10. Tomorrow, lead paper presentation will be on. Tomorrow also we'll have our various papers to be presented. So we invite all of us again to be here by tomorrow. And I will ask Dr. Mrs. Mercy Omokason to pray for us, but before then, the chairman's closing remarks.
I think I can now stand. I've been sitting for a long time. Thank you for coming. I've seen that there are very senior people that have stayed to the end. Most often, it's not everybody that attain a particular occasion that stay to the end. I want to appreciate those that have stayed to the end, and I believe you have learned something. Even some people claim they knew, but it's always good to also take from another person and add to your own, so that you will know more than what you. Yes, so thank you so much. I thank the Dean School of Communication Arts in a dual capacity as I think the lead speaker, keynote speaker, the keynote speaker, and the Dean and the person that spearheaded the organization of this conference. Thank you so much. Thank you, the librarian. She's always staying to the end of every conference. So, real academic. If you stay to the end, it means you have an interest. And there's no how you will not learn something. Also, the students, I've seen some of the students have also stayed to the end. And I think they are lucky because in our days, we were not allowed to attend this kind of conference. You cannot even go in. It was mainly for the lecturers and so on. But at least they are learning something from this level. And I'm sure when they graduate, they will be able to know how to present papers because they have also watched how their dean presented his paper. So thank you very much. God bless you as we dismiss in Jesus' name.
Please can we all rise? We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, our God. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, our God. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, our Lord. In Jesus' name. Our dear loving Father, we bless you. We worship and adore you for your goodness and mercy. Your faithfulness is from everlasting to everlasting. And even in this event, is part of your agenda. Thank you, Lord, for bringing this program opening ceremony to a good success. Lord, thank you for all that we have learned. Thank you for the opportunities to come. Thank you that we planned to come and you made it possible. Thank you for all our guests that were able to make it. When we look at it, it's been a success. And this cannot be by our power. We return all the glory and honor to you in Jesus' name. Lord, as we dismiss from here, we ask, Lord, that your very presence will go with us. Continue with us, O Lord. We are not here to just talk and go away. Lord, may this bring development to our individual life, to our state and the country in Jesus' name. Grant us journey mercies back. Thank you, faithful Father. In Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you very much. We'll see all of you tomorrow by 10 a.m.